The question, why doesn't Batman use his wealth to solve poverty instead of punching criminals, is not a condemnation of Batman as if he were real, like a real guy. It's not some righteous indignation about some man, some bebotted man, who doesn't exist. It's only a question about our values in the real world. This question about Batman is not about Batman. The question is really, can there be justice under capitalism?
Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun. God, I fell out of my seat when I heard that. I was like, for real? Did he really just say that? Can there be justice under capitalism? Dude, you need to fucking get off the internet. Like, what's going on here? Explain this to me, Sitch. What happened here?
I don't know. When I was just like you when he says this, I just started laughing hysterically. I did not think this was going to be the next slide.
I know.
I think this was going to be. I thought let me go back to the question. Where is it? Okay, I thought he was going to say. This is the problem. I thought he was going to say something that was reasonably intelligent, which is to say, when someone asks the question, why doesn't Batman use his wealth to solve poverty instead of punching criminals? They're obviously not talking about like the fictional characters. He said the fictional character of Batman, no one cares about these people. They're not real. Okay. They're asking a broader view about society. And I thought what he was going to say is they're asking, why do we as a society enjoy reading a somewhat revenge fantasy comic book about a masked vigilante beating up criminals violently instead of, productively helping people become, better in life.
Right. Yeah.
I thought that's where he was going to go with this. I really did. I was like, oh, okay, I know exactly where he's going to go in this, why can't we all be, happy, amazingly enlightened people, right? And then he says, no, fuck you. It's really a question about capitalism. I'm like, God. What the fuck is he talking about?
It's so shoehorned in. It's like,
yes.
Is capitalism really even relevant in any of the Batman movies?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess because Bruce Wayne is rich, I guess. But
it's all inherited money, and it's all just investments and foundations and stuff like that.
Well, but that would be, capitalism right there.
Well, they never really come out and say, oh, it is to some extent, but it depends upon what companies he's investing in. Well, Batman only invests in ESG companies. I don't know if you know.
There you go. There you go. High ESG scores. But this really shows you where Renegade Cut's mind is. Because basically what he's revealing by saying, this is that he's saying he believes that capitalism causes poverty, therefore he believes capitalism causes crime. Like he literally thinks that if we had socialism, we would live in some kind of amazing utopia free of crime and poverty or something insane like that.
Yeah, this is the thing, because everything I read on capitalism, property rights, that it's completely the opposite. It's like capitalism lifts people out of poverty. The places where poverty is the highest, the quote unquote shithole countries, is because they have insecure property rights, and nobody can, take out a loan against their property because they don't own their property. The state owns their property, and the state could come in at any time and take their property. So what kind of bank wants to loan you money to start a business to improve your lot in life?
Right.
If that's the situation. Yeah, it's very simple.
It is amazing to me how ignorant in the hubris, I guess, involved, where you have for almost all of human history, for like 99.9% of human history, humans are living, once we start moving out of hunter-gatherer phase and into, cultivation and property ownership, humans are living in almost all humans are living in abject poverty.
Right.
For most of human history. And then you have capitalism comes along, and very slowly with that, and with this idea about markets and with this idea about, democracy, suddenly people are being raised out of abject poverty faster and higher than ever before in all of human history.
Yeah.
And then you have this idea come along, this communism come along,
Oh,
which is a
oh,
response
shit.
to liberalism, is a response to capitalism. And every time it's implemented, it ends horribly.
Yeah.
Except for like there's like a handful of examples on very small scales that they point to where they say it's worked. Okay. But every time it's been implemented in a large company in a large country, it's just total fucking disaster on
Yeah.
every possible level. And yet they still beat this drum. They still beat this drum forever.
We pretend to work and they pretend to pay us.
Right.
That's just not a sustainable model. You can't do that forever. Yeah, I don't even this is what's confusing to me too, because Leon here, when I grew up, you didn't have the option of being like a movie critic online and making
Yeah.
money doing that.
Right.
It's like literally the capitalist system has made Leon's life possible.
Right.
If it, 20 years ago, this guy would be working in a video store, selling candy bars and renting
Mhm.
videos. I just, the trajectory of capitalism is improving people's lives in so many different ways. I mean, there's obviously room for improvement, and you know, the people working in the gig economy that are being taken advantage of. I'm not in favor of any of that stuff, but that
Right.
doesn't mean we need to wipe away all of capitalism. I mean, I feel like, there's obviously room for improvement, but the alternative, the socialist alternative is just, I mean, what is the socialist alternative? Leon makes his videos and everybody else does their thing and everybody just is paid out of a government coffer. I
I don't
don't,
know.
yeah.
Well, yeah, and I want to be clear too, because someone DM me
Mhm.
some stuff during the week that I was just like completely disagreed with. And it's like they had some quote from Obama who was basically saying very standard, like
Mm,
lowercase L liberal,
yeah,
we need to regulate businesses. And they're
right.
like, see, this is proof Obama's a communist. I'm like, what? What are you
Yeah.
talking about? Like, you can regulate businesses without being a communist. This has been going on for hundreds of years. We've been regulating businesses. And, under the time period where, the post World War II time period, we had far more regulations than we do now. So, I mean, you're 100% right. Yeah, we can improve our system, I believe, our capitalistic system, without going to be, communism or something to that degree.
I mean, I
Uh,
do feel like we need some regulation. I do feel
of
like,
course.
yeah,
Well, and it's interesting because that's part of what was interesting about Trump was that he sort of awoke or awakened, or maybe he just sort of voiced like the right wing criticism of neoliberal economic policies, of these, just let big businesses do whatever they want, which it is interesting because the Republican Party used to be the champion of big businesses doing whatever they want. And I don't know if that's because a lot of people on the right sort of realized that they were being dealt a BS hand, or if it's because a lot of the corporations basically, at least outwardly, became woke. And so now it was like okay for people to psychologically not, you know, like
hmm
them. So I'm not sure why exactly that change happened. Maybe it's a combination of things.
Why
But
don't I mean you need certain regulations or you drift away from it. I don't Can you even call it capitalism if everything is run by monopolies and there's
no,
no competition?
no, because yeah,
Yeah.
capitalism has to relies on free markets and fair
If
markets.
if
Yeah.
you have a situation, and we have this right now, and one of the reasons why the United States healthcare system is so effed up is because hospitals literally, they get you while you're a captive, consumer, right?
Right.
You definitely need their services, and then they charge you whatever they want. They're literally in a situation where they're not even listing their services so you can comparative shop. Is it to force them to list prices for their customers? Is that anti-capitalist because it's regulation? It
Right.
seems the opposite to me.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. Like if you or a family member requires a hospital and you call an ambulance, they're going to just take you to like wherever's closest. They're not, you're not like a consumer, like, well, let me look at the price sheet for like this hospital versus this.
Right.
I mean, and you couldn't even do it even if you wanted to, because you don't even know what's wrong necessarily with the person that has to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I mean, definitely.
Well, you could plan ahead, and a lot of times people know what, there's all kinds of outpatient procedures you could shop around on.
Yeah, if it's not an emergency.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Emergency. Sure. And I believe, because I read that book on the price we pay, I can't remember the author, but he was saying, I think it's as little as 10% of the procedures hospital do are emergency. Like 90% of it is scheduled stuff. So you could shop around on that stuff. But yeah, that's what I'm just saying. Like, just because it's regulation, I mean, the regulation could be pro-capitalism. It doesn't have to be anti-capitalism.
Right.
There
I
be
guess
justice and exist.
This is the thing. A lot of people think capitalism means anti-government. I don't believe in that. I think that's a little strains credulity. You need a ref on the field to make the sport work. So
yeah, definitely.
It's only a question about our values in the real world. This question about Batman is not about Batman. The question is really, can there be justice under capitalism? Capitalism does not resolve poverty. Capitalism simultaneously enforces poverty through stratified economic classes and income disparity, all the while criminalizing poverty to protect private property interests of the ruling class.
Okay,
so
so much
improving conditions
that's totally
under capitalism.
Insane with what he just said.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Before he said that, there was something else I wanted to say that was very important. You brought up that under capitalism, Renegade Cut is able to do what he's doing. This job, being a YouTuber. I don't know if he has a second job or whatever, and it's funny because this reminds me of something V Radio likes to always point out, which is that Bernie Sanders, he would be in some socialist commune somewhere, and they would ask him to leave the commune because instead of, working on the, by farming crops or whatever the fuck the commune had to do, he would be giving, his left-wing speeches that were distracting everyone. Right?
He'd be giving his movie takes.
Yeah. So it's so funny because under like the quote unquote ideal, socialism, you're so like Renegade Cut would not be able. First of all, I don't even think there'd be the apparatus for the internet or for YouTube or anything like that.
Oh, this is a luxury. What do you need
Right.
entertainment for? Of course. Come on.
Yeah. But even if it did somehow exist, and Renegade Cut was living in some magical socialist commune somewhere, he wouldn't have the time or the ability to make a YouTube channel because he'd have to be, doing all the other commune work.
Yeah.
He'd have to be pitching in with these people. He wouldn't even be able to do what he's doing right now.
Yeah. It's mind-boggling.